Now from that I want to move into what I do every day right now, and that is argue the case of resetting Connecticut, rejoining the states that actually grow jobs as opposed to losing jobs. And the first vehicle by which I do that, and had to do it within 6 weeks of being sworn in, is to present a budget, which is a pro-jobs budget, but also a tough budget to sell. Because I have to do a number of things in that budget. We have to settle what is a $3.3 billion deficit that the prior administration and the prior legislature, for that matter, kicked the can down the road to make, which is to say that this deficit is structural in nature. It was predicted 4 years ago, it was predicted 3 years ago, it was predicted 2 years ago, it was predicted last year. It has been made somewhat worse by the downturn in the economy, but we would have been in large deficit situation regardless of the downturn in the economy. So much so that on November 15th, when I was handed a budget by then Governor Rell as the preliminary budget for the year, it represented a $3.5 billion deficit. My approach to that was as follows. We have cut expenditures from that proposed budget by about $800 million. We have proposed and are talking to our employee base about givebacks of $1 billion a year per year, 2 years of a biennial budget. And there is a revenue side. And I know the revenue side gets people upset. But I have long said that we could not cut our way out of this deficit, nor could we tax our way out of this deficit. It was going to have to be some combination of the two. So other information that I'd like to share with you about this budget is we will not spend more Connecticut-raised revenue next year than we are in the current year. And this budget's 2 years old. We will not pay employees to leave us and give them incentives that further burden the pension plan. We will actually make our pension payments $877 million worth, as opposed to what happened the last 2 years where the state did not make its full pension payments. Further, along with an early retirement, further damaging the pension system to the point that we are the 5th worst ranked in the nation for actual funding, at about 52%, maybe as low as 48% of our total obligation. A lot of what we have to do is also make appropriate investments. So this budget does set aside additional monies for the transportation arena. I know that we're getting beat by other states because we have failed to take care of our transportation system in this state. In fact, if I was to talk to the tribal council about this very facility, they would tell me that transportation is one of the great impediments to its recovery of the pre-recession bookings. And this budget actually does, in fact, also address the deficit in the transportation fund. Now, I'm not asking that you get up and cheer the idea that we need to raise revenue, but I am asking that you understand what I'm trying to do, and that is to establish our means and then live with them, live within them on a permanent basis while we restructure our relationship to our employees as well as our citizens. That we begin the process of setting true priorities like pre-K through 12 education and making sure that we're properly supporting our higher education. A couple of other things that this budget does for the first time is something that you folks have been doing in your own businesses for a number of years, and that's consolidating functions. Prior to my taking this budget, there were 81 separately funded state agencies. I call them silos. We've reduced that by a third by consolidation, by putting logical functions together. It is our intention then to remove layers of management and duplication that are driving cost and long-term, short-term employee cost as well as long-term cost. That's part of what we're doing in state government for the first time. Something that should have been done long ago. I mean, and I can speak to that because as mayor of Stamford for 14 years, a city that during that period of time grew its population by 10%, we actually reduced our workforce by 8.4% while giving a higher level of services, making making Stanford one of the 10 safest cities in America and improving an urban educational system. But these things take time to do. What I'm disappointed about in the state of Connecticut is that no one got around to doing this earlier, and that it falls to me to do it, and do it in a tough economy. But we're going to get that job done, and we are going to live within our means and fund our obligations and trim our sails and get the state moving again. One of the other things that's built into this budget is something called First 5, which I would like to see really become First 50. We are putting together special incentives to the first 5 companies that we select who agree to increase their employee base by at least 200 employees in the state of Connecticut. And I have to tell you, we're having conversations with companies that potentially could increase their employment pool by as many as 1,000 people. It's the kind of thing that we're going to have to do in Connecticut, because we're still 100,000 jobs short of where we were before this recession took hold in the state of Connecticut. So we're also addressing those issues. And the other thing that we're doing on economic development, I previously referenced hiring Kathy Smith from IMG, but we're taking all of the disparate functions of economic development, all of those silos and boards and commissions that were once part of our economic development drive that were separately constituted, and putting them into one agency. And it is part of an overall drive in economic development, but in all facets of state government, where I'm going to try to create with our fellow state employees an environment where there is no wrong door. Now, somebody comes to one of your agencies and asks your automobile person for house insurance. They're going to be told to speak to the right person and walked over and introduced, or that person's going to do it. State government, if you go to the wrong door, you ask the person who's providing, I'll use an example, workers' compensation. What do you do about unemployment compensation? That person's going to tell you it's not their job, and leave it up to you to find the right person to talk to. It's the wrong way to conduct a business. It's the wrong way to conduct government. And so the no wrong door concept is one that's based on the higher use and better use of technology to link across departmental lines to make sure that we can answer questions and put people in touch with the services or the answers that they need. Another department that we're re-engineering right now as I speak is the old DEP, Environmental Protection. Those of you who write bonds for construction know how frustrating your contractor partners are when it comes to DEP. They take too long to make a decision. And again, they're more likely to tell you that you're talking to the wrong person than they are to lead you to the right person. We're going to restructure that department so that it's required to get answers about development and job creation in this state in a reasonable period of time, which in my opinion should be 45 days from receipt of a completed application. And we're going to add to that department oversight over energy policy. And it will go from a name of DEP to DEEP, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. But for the first time in our state government, we're actually going to concentrate on lowering energy costs in the state of Connecticut. After all, one of the bigger bills that you all pay on a month-to-month basis is your energy bill, and understand that you're paying more than any other state besides Hawaii for energy. So we're going to concentrate on that issue as well and build a more responsive state government. So those are just a few of the things that we're trying to do and get done in the state of Connecticut. With respect to back to our insurance department, we recognize that you're our partners. We're going to try to re-engineer that department to make sure that we're giving you timely answers and timely oversight, and get out of your way and let you grow and let you sell the kinds of products that should be sold in this state. And I pledge to you that we're going to work with you, your leadership, and other insurance organizations to make sure that happens.